The tennis world may look calm from the outside, but insiders claim an entirely different story unfolds once the cameras switch off and the microphones dissipate. A shocking wave of private conversations has reportedly surfaced, revealing what top competitors truly say about Aya behind closed doors. And the details challenge everything fans think they know about elite rivalries. Imagine discovering what champions discuss when media training no longer controls every sentence and polished smiles no longer hide genuine emotion. According to these claims, one insider finally pulled back the curtain on conversations that were never meant for public ears. What players allegedly admitted carried far more weight than ordinary competitive tension. This was described as something deeper, a growing belief that the system itself was becoming part of the battle. Professional tennis often exists in two completely different worlds. One is the public stage filled with respectful interviews, firm handshakes, and carefully chosen words designed to maintain a perfect image. The other is the private reality hidden in hallways, practice areas, hotels, and group chats where athletes speak freely without worrying about headlines. Most people never witness that side because players traditionally protect one another and understand that exposing internal matters can damage careers, sponsorship deals, and important relationships. The unwritten rule has always remained simple: whatever happens inside the locker room stays there. Yet critics argue that silence can also allow unfair practices and favoritism to continue without serious questions being raised. According to these claims, discussions surrounding Aya reportedly became increasingly common among people inside the sport. Coaches allegedly debated strange tournament patterns, players questioned scheduling decisions, and agents examined whether certain advantages created obstacles for others. Supporters of these concerns insisted they were not spreading random theories but sharing observations from people directly involved in the system. Reactions reportedly varied from quiet frustration to stronger resentment. Some accepted the situation as part of the sport and adjusted to it, while others privately struggled with growing disappointment. A few reportedly considered speaking out but believed the personal cost would be too high. The source behind these claims was described as someone with access to high-level conversations and private moments involving players and their teams. According to reports, the motivation was not publicity or money but years of watching talented athletes feel ignored while larger interests gained influence. The leaked material allegedly included detailed discussions, specific moments, and statements connected to recognizable figures. Remaining anonymous reportedly became a strategic decision because revealing an identity could shift attention away from the claims themselves and turn the focus toward personal motives instead. Then came the comments that drew the most attention. According to the reported leaks, one highly ranked player allegedly said that Aya possessed real talent, but claimed the challenge felt bigger than facing a single opponent, suggesting that competitors sometimes felt they were battling a larger system rather than only another player across the net. Another reported statement from a top-ranked competitor intensified the controversy even further, with claims that tournament paths were no longer viewed as completely natural by everyone inside the sport. According to the alleged comments, some players believed outcomes were influenced long before matches even began, creating a feeling that competitors had limited options beyond accepting the system or stepping away entirely. One experienced player reportedly described the emotional cost in even stronger terms, saying years of endless practice, sacrifice, and commitment could feel overshadowed when certain opportunities appeared easier for others to reach. As more reported quotes surfaced, a larger pattern of frustration seemed to emerge. Athletes allegedly discussed concerns surrounding tournament positioning, media attention, and sponsorship opportunities, arguing that certain narratives gain momentum regardless of actual performance on the court. What stood out most was that many of these frustrations were reportedly not aimed directly at Aya herself. Instead, the criticism centered on what some competitors believed was a structure operating around her. Players reportedly separated respect for talent from dissatisfaction with a system they felt created uneven conditions. To them, the issue was not simple rivalry but a belief that fairness itself had become part of the debate. One particularly powerful reported statement accused the sport of promoting equality publicly while creating different realities behind the scenes, suggesting that younger athletes increasingly questioned whether professional competition truly rewarded effort alone. Yet the most striking element was not any single comment, but the broader picture created when all the statements were viewed together. According to the claims, many within elite tennis circles already recognized concerns that fans and outsiders rarely saw. Critics argued that the problem was not hidden in secrecy but concealed beneath polished public messaging. These allegations also carried additional weight because they were reportedly linked to athletes who had dedicated their lives to the sport, training relentlessly and building careers at the highest level. As the conversation spread, attention quickly shifted toward the WTA and whether the organization would address concerns or reject the claims entirely. Public reaction exploded almost immediately as fans, analysts, and players tried to understand the growing controversy. Social media discussions intensified, and questions surrounding competitive integrity suddenly became impossible to ignore. Major media organizations initially approached the story cautiously because the material remained unverified, but interest continued growing as additional claims and accounts reportedly surfaced. Some players were said to have acknowledged participating in private discussions, while others avoided direct responses altogether. The governing body's response reportedly denied systemic favoritism while also addressing public perception, a position many critics believed raised even more questions. Meanwhile, the player community appeared divided into different groups. Some defended Aya and argued the leaks represented unfair attacks against a rising star, while others chose silence rather than publicly revisit private conversations. Another group reportedly remained carefully neutral, avoiding firm positions altogether. Tournament officials also found themselves in a difficult situation because changing scheduling methods or draw structures in response to criticism could potentially raise new questions about previous decisions, creating a challenge with no easy solution. Continuing with current procedures created its own serious problem because many critics argued that ignoring reported concerns would appear like accepting a broken system. Yet changing policies could also raise difficult questions about past decisions. Either direction carried consequences that reached far beyond the court itself. Sponsors reportedly began examining their long-term confidence in a sport now facing growing debate over fairness and credibility. Broadcasters also faced concerns that audience trust could weaken if fans started questioning whether competition remained fully authentic. Young athletes dreaming of professional careers suddenly found themselves hearing claims that success might involve more than talent and hard work alone. For Eala, the controversy reportedly changed her public image almost overnight. The focus shifted away from celebrating her rise and toward discussing larger arguments surrounding the system around her. Victories that once generated excitement now became connected to debates and speculation instead of pure celebration of performance. But remaining silent reportedly was never part of her approach. When her response arrived, it aimed to redirect the entire discussion. Instead of simply rejecting the accusations, she reportedly changed the focus completely. Eala stated that she did not create the systems being criticized and had only worked through opportunities available to her, just as any athlete would do. Her response reshaped the narrative by separating personal responsibility from broader institutional concerns. In doing so, she positioned herself not as the architect of controversy but as another person operating inside the same environment. Her team quickly joined the effort, releasing information intended to support the argument that every ranking point and achievement resulted from performance and commitment. Coaches spoke publicly about demanding training schedules and the work invested behind the scenes. Supporters also criticized the alleged leaks, describing them as gossip and private conversations used to damage a rising competitor. Meanwhile, the atmosphere inside professional tennis reportedly became increasingly divided. Players connected to the alleged discussions issued cautious statements, often avoiding direct confirmation or denial. Some claimed private comments had been taken out of context, while others continued raising broader concerns about the system while distancing themselves from personal criticism toward Eala. Different generations of players reportedly reacted in different ways. Veteran competitors often leaned toward discussions of accountability and structural reform, while younger athletes appeared more likely to defend Eala and acknowledge the complicated realities of modern competition. Players in the middle of their careers found themselves balancing relationships and avoiding conflict within an increasingly divided environment. At the same time, The WTA reportedly attempted to project unity while dealing with growing pressure surrounding credibility and public trust. Sponsorship conversations became more difficult, broadcasting discussions reportedly faced new uncertainty, and some younger athletes questioned their future inside a sport now surrounded by controversy. The debate expanded beyond individual players and became a larger argument over what professional tennis should represent. One side called for transparency and meaningful changes, while another argued that maintaining stability remained equally important. The two positions increasingly appeared difficult to reconcile. The biggest question now surrounded the future itself. What kind of sport should professional tennis become moving forward? Claims and alleged private comments have created intense discussions around fairness, opportunity, and trust. Whether the sport chooses reform, stronger transparency, or continued defense of existing systems may shape public confidence for years ahead. The conversation is no longer only about athletes or rankings. It has become a wider debate about competition itself and what fans believe the game should stand for.